Welcome, one and all, to I'm Nature. I'm your host, Brian Porter. And this week, I have two great people on. They're organizing a great event in Orange County against geoengineering with me. I have Chris and Tammy Murphy. They have a Facebook page called OC Against Geoengineering. Welcome, Chris and Tammy.
Hello.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you hear me just
Hi,
fine?
Brian.
We're both there. Yeah, you might want to get a little bit closer. Like I say, the sound quality changes a bit when I get live.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Can you
All
hear
right.
me, Brian?
You sound a bit far away, Tammy. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on here. Let me get a little closer.
I can always
That's it.
adjust my volume for
Oh,
microphone.
that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, great. So you have this event coming up this weekend. That's a Saturday, right? The 21st?
Yes. Uh-huh.
It's 1 till 2:30 in the Orange Circle in Orange City, California.
It would be you would just call it Orange, California, actually. So,
Just Orange, California.
yeah, not Orange City, Orange, California.
Is there a big orange somewhere in the town?
No, but we used to have oranges on every street corner in Orange County, so that's why they call it Orange County.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's probably an orange belt around there, right?
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
trees.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty neat. I love that. I love oranges. So why are you guys having this rally? Why are you upset about geoengineering?
I found out about geoengineering about 4 years ago. My son pointed them out to me. I thought he was crazy. He brought me outside. He goes, "Mom, watch this plane," and he showed me it leaving a line, a white line. And he said, "Now watch it. It's going to spread out." And he said, "That's not a contrail long. That's a chemtrail." And I thought he was crazy. And I went back inside the house, got online, and started digging in and just looking up as much information as I could. And after I discovered what I discovered and watching for the next 2 or 3 or 4 days, I realized that what he was saying was true. And it just devastated me. Absolutely just devastated me to know that we were being sprayed like that.
And so you've been aware for 4 years now.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you've had a few other rallies. You've organized a few.
Oh yeah, we used to have them every month. We've kind of slowed down here the last 6 months.
Holy cow! One a month?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So you've had like 10 or 20 rallies in the last 4 years?
Mhm. At least. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
That is incredible effort. I'm so impressed. I've asked a lot of people who organize rallies to come on my show, but you're the first to actually accept my invitation. So thanks a lot for coming on. You too, Chris. So, Chris, how long have you been aware of geoengineering?
Well, let's see. This issue has pretty much gone to my attention about a little over a year ago, September of 2014. Of course, before in May, I learned about HARP. Didn't think much of it, but then I started doing some research right after my trip to Cancun at the end of August. And then, of course, yeah, I found a bunch of disturbing things going on. And, well, started doing even more and more research. And now, you know, the HARP report on YouTube, he explained to me pretty much all I know about weather control. I found him in September when I was digging around a bit. Okay, I think that's about it right now. And
Okay, well, that's great. So you're
Yeah.
actually newer to the game. Did you hear about geoengineering by attending a demo that Tammy Murphy organized?
Now, I did come across geoengineering in September. Went to Dane Wigginton's website, geoengineeringwatch.org. And, well, I think Dane actually had a video up on his YouTube channel It was it was the Harp Report, and I pretty much followed the Harp Report since because he explained the weather warfare that has been going on for. Oh, wait, hang on a second. Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris, you were doing awesome before we got live. So just pretend we're just chatting. Don't even think about being on radio because really this is such a laid back atmosphere. It's you're doing great before. We're just chatting, man. That's
all right. All right. Anyways, yeah, he had the Harp Report on YouTube shows how our weather is being manipulated from many angles, and that really pretty much that blew that really sparked my interest. And well, in October I actually created a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is OC Skywatch on YouTube. OC space Skywatch. That's all one word. Skywatch is. And well, progressively I've gotten better making videos like Harper Ford does.
Well, that sounds great. Did you?
Yeah.
You were talking to me earlier about the fact that they're regularly preventing precipitation from falling in California.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
correct.
Explain a bit more about how that works.
Okay, let me get my notes here. Okay, basically, yeah, what they're doing is they're pretty much controlling the jet stream with the use of ionospheric heaters such as HARP. They also have different facilities around, both ground-based and mobile-based. Mobile-based is basically stuff mounted on oil rigs, Navy ships, etc. And with the use of aerosols, chemtrails, whatever you want to call them, they're able to create man-made high pressure. They've been doing that a lot recently. And what they are able to do is what they've been doing to us is they've been creating extremely tight dips in the jet stream, affecting us here. These things are not natural and are caused by two high pressure ridges being very close together. In between is the low sandwiched between the two high pressure things. There hasn't been a whole lot of rain associated with it like you would expect from a natural wide low pressure swirl. It's very, very bizarre what they're doing.
You said that just the last storm that went right over top that they actually just
they were
passing the clouds. The clouds.
Yeah, they were doing.
And there's no rain, but they just sort of disappear.
There was very, very little rain. There was very, very, very little rain. We got less than 1/10 of an inch for the last one. And, well, let's see. Aerosols were being sprayed on both sides of the things, mainly to help maintain the high pressure ridges. A lot of dry air has been pressed down a lot to prevent precipitation, especially over the Sierras, Northern California, where it's needed most. You could see weird things happening in satellite maps, sscc.wisc.edu, geostationary image browser, satellite image browser. That's what I use mainly to look at stuff from satellite. Of course, there's also humidity maps and vertical velocity, etc. instantweathermaps.com/maplist.php. Yeah, there's a lot. It has many different layers in the atmosphere, like 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, 850 millibars, 5,000 feet, 700 millibars, 10,000 feet, 300 millibars, 30,000 feet, and so on. there's many layers in the atmosphere that have been affected by this, but they're affected in different ways. Like you're able to tell what they're doing by unusual amount of dry air and humidity maps, and of course, when you combine that data with the satellite data in the browser, it all makes sense.
How long has the drought been a problem
Well, let's see. The drought, it's been we've been in severe drought for like around 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe the drought has been a lot longer than that, more like 8 years.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that they had proposed, I think it was in 2010, to put so many millions of tons of this into the atmosphere. So it was, it was a proposed.
Were they talking about? Are you talking about cloud seeding?
Not crossing, but just
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's when the severe drought started, when the rain got really strange, and when we were, not getting any rain at all.
Yeah.
But you agree, Chris?
Yeah. It's been extremely bad.
Yeah.
Have you been to any of the town councils to complain? I've seen lots of videos of people going to different town councils and asking them to talk to the various environmental officials, ask questions, demand that it stop, this sort of stuff.
Well, the thing is, with them, the environmental community is quite hard to get to. I haven't tried doing that yet.
Chris, you went up to Dane Wigington's meeting, correct?
Yeah, I went up to Dane's event in Reading. There were over 1,000 people there.
That was a great turnout.
Yeah, it was a great turnout.
So, Tammy, have you been to any city councils to complain?
No, I have not. Nope, I have not. I honestly, I think they would look at me like I had two heads, They're so far out of it, and so, I would send emails for sure. I haven't done that. Ralph Ely, he's one of the guys in our group, does that on a regular basis. I think he says he does it every night. Sends emails to city council members and to, government officials, which I think is awesome. I would possibly walk in there and give them flyers and that type of thing, but I wouldn't go to a meeting. Like I said, I think they would look at me like I had two heads. Unless I had, I think hundreds of people backing me up, I'd feel good about going in there with a pretty good crowd,
Well, that's what they've done. They've gone with, say, 10 or 12 people, and they've all made a submission to the council. And that way you have the power of the others supporting each other. It works. I think it's a good idea. I think, especially seeing as you've had so many different rallies, and you've done a great job of getting the message out there. People drive. Is there a road there where people are driving by?
Yeah, we're in a circle, and there is a road that's right around the circle. It's a very small circle. I would say maybe the size of, what would you say, Chris? Maybe 100 feet wide.
It's something like 100 to 200 feet wide. I don't have any exact measurements. Yeah. But it's kind of decent sized.
Yeah. But what's nice, it's a very busy.
Yeah, it runs with quite a few busy avenues.
Mhm. Yeah.
Chapman, LaSalle, something like that.
So you constantly have cars driving past.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And what would be your best turnout for a rally?
Well,
My best. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, probably the best turnout would be, the one back in April when you had the global march against geoengineering and chemtrails, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, there was around 50 people there.
Yeah. And that, unfortunately, Brian, maybe that doesn't sound like a lot of people, but you'd be surprised how difficult it is to get people out to protest.
I know.
And to, spread the word. people are not willing to do that. They're not willing to do very much. They're willing to post online, but when it comes to, stepping out and actually making an effort to do something that, might make a change, it's very difficult to get people to do that.
How many people are in your Facebook group?
In the OC March, I think we have like 511 right now. Right, Chris?
Yeah, 511 in the OC against geoengineering, 361 people.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got two. Maybe you should put those sites out there for the listener. Again, the two different sites.
All right, in the chat room.
No, just tell me right now what they are.
Okay, it's a Facebook OC space against space geoengineering, and there's also OC space march space against space chemtrailing space and space geoengineering.
So either one of those is a good place to hook up with you guys and the latest news on. I've been on them a lot. Ralph's a great one for posting on them.
Yeah, he's been sharing stuff around.
Yeah.
Bunch of critical data.
Yeah, Ralph is very knowledgeable, and he knows a lot of people that are involved in this movement.
Yeah, he's the one who introduced me to you, Tammy, and we had some great discussions about your efforts. I mean, I have to salute your efforts. I mean, I've been complaining about it a lot, but I've gone to 2 or 3 different rallies. I mean, we don't have them as often up here in Canada. They're not. It's really interesting that we have a new government here, and the amount of geoengineering has really decreased with the new government. So that's kind of good for Canada, or at least in the Toronto area. But I'm sure it's nothing's changed down in the U.S.
Yeah, and we're just continuing to get hammered each and every day.
Yeah. And there's another Facebook website. It's called Global Skywatch. So it's Chemtrail Global Skywatch. And when you go on there, you get a pretty clear idea of how much they are chemtrailing around the United States, because there's a lot of postings. I think there's 42,000 members on that right now, and people are posting from all over the United States, and I think
it's all over the world.
All over the world, yeah. But we get a lot from the United States. So you have an idea how much they are spraying us here. And there was a guy that just posted from Alabama, and I mean, literally the sky was a pink, dark red. It looks so unnatural. You think people would be freaking out, but it's as if they have no clue what's going on,
I'm pretty sure they would rather listen to, I don't know, or watch the football game.
Right.
Baseball game.
Right. They want to be entertained.
Next big movie coming out, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw a cartoon once of everyone looking down at their cell phone and all the geoengineering trails above them.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of what nobody's looking up at the sky. One of the reasons I started my show was to try to encourage people to reconnect with the planet and the natural cycles and whatnot. And I mean, people are not looking up in the sky. They're just looking down.
Yeah.
And they trust the weathermen to offer them an accurate analysis of what's actually happening in their sky. And the weather networks have been basically told to, don't say anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and it would be interesting to know what they're being told, because I think they're being told that this is a matter of national security, and I think they're being told that we're being sprayed, to cloak against the enemy as far as radar and that type of thing. I think that's the kind of rhetoric that they're being fed. I can't imagine that they would say, "Oh, we're spraying you with chemicals, and we're genetically engineering your weather, and don't tell anybody." I can't imagine that they would go along with that, but who knows? Maybe they are, you know?
Yeah, and Tammy, and you were saying, which is, I mean, I was kind of shocked, but I know it's bad in California, but you're saying almost everyone you know is sick right now.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's tired all the time. Everyone complains. They've always got, allergies. Their noses are running. The kids are always sick. The kids, everyone's talking about, oh, my throats or this kind of thing. Everyone's always complaining. And the majority of the people are complaining that they're tired all the time.
Yeah, that's because of lithium in the spray.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They want
I've been tired a lot.
Yeah, me too, Chris. Yeah.
But
if it weren't for my family, Brian, I wouldn't be here in California. I would be gone. Because this is the most chemtrailed place in the world. Because of all, don't you agree, Chris?
It's also bad in Europe.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it tends to be more concentrated in urban areas. I guess you're living in a fairly populated area. It's supposed to be a fairly wealthy area, too, in California.
Yeah, we're living in one of the most populated areas in the world. And, as far as, square footage, and very wealthy. One of the most wealthiest areas in the world, too.
Yeah, I live in a really nice town. There hasn't been a whole lot of crime here, so to speak of, at least major crime.
Yeah, except what's going on in the sky.
Yeah.
The crime against humanity.
Still, even here, people are still more interested in other things other than what they're doing with the weather, the manipulation, and trashing of the biosphere.
Back to calling the radio stations or the weather station, or I called the meteorologist at our local TV station where I am in. There's a little town near me called Hamilton, and it's actually it used to be independent, but now it's been bought up. All the media is being concentrated everywhere in the world, but it's still kind of got this sort of independent feel to it. And I just called up. I couldn't actually speak to the meteorologist; they wouldn't let me. But I made a big deal about the fact that they weren't reporting on this. And I made sure they got a message to the meteorology department, and I swear I didn't hardly see a chemtrail for 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very bizarre.
Well, maybe we should try it, Chris.
Through the interview, I got to start throwing ideas at you guys, because
I know that Dane
really love what you're doing. It's just that you got to mix it up a bit. I found really works. Helps to mix it up. So we'll discuss different strategies. But I was just you don't get mad at people. You just say, hey, like I called the CBC the other day about depleted uranium use in the Middle East. I just talk to people and I say, hey, how's it going? And I've got a concern here, and I send a few emails like Ralph's been doing. And but no, they are somewhat responsive to public opinion, and if we could just get more people calling in and complaining.
I know. Political pressure is great.
Yeah, and that's a good idea, Brian. That we probably should organize and we have a group. We have a woman. Her name is Lisa B. Oh gosh, what's her last name?
Thomas.
Thank you. Is it Thomas? Or Thomas? Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah. She was on your site. She's got another rally coming up in the new year, right?
She's going to be going to D.C., and she's trying to organize all the groups together to go over there and, face our politicians and tell them what we think and go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, that'd be great if people can shift more towards action-based, from education. Sure, education is still important, but we need to start doing something, because the criminals behind this will see that as a threat to them, and they might want to back off.
Well, if you have 500 people in your group, like say on the March group, you could just put a posting up and say, let's start calling the pick a whatever network. Pick one radio station or TV station. TV is better because they do most people watch the weather on TV now, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of websites too, and just call them and speak to the meteorologist.
Yeah, we have a famous meteorologist. His name is Dallas Rain on one of the, I don't know if he's on Channel 5.
No, he's on ABC7, and what he's been doing is he's been trying to use the traditional conditioning by, saying the wispy stuff up at 30,000 feet or so is, high clouds, cirrus, deceptive terms like that. It's normal.
Yeah.
He's trying to. It's the normalcy bias.
About geoengineering, just say I'd like to speak to the meteorologist about. I have some questions. And if they ask for what question, I just got a few questions about the drought to discuss with them, and maybe you can get through that way or get to his voicemail or something.
Yeah.
And I can't guarantee it's going to do what it did here, but I was shocked that I didn't see a chemtrail for 3 weeks, and that's unusual. Like, wow. I mean, now that there's a new federal government here, he's talking about having an independent foreign policy, which I think is really good for Canada. I think it's going to help here if we start, saying, hey, we don't want this nonsense up here. And we're going to put more and more pressure on them up here, too, to stop it. And what I'd love to do is see a G20 government come out and say, hey, this has got to stop worldwide. Putin, did you hear what Putin said today?
No.
No, I didn't get Putin today.
Putin, well, I heard this on another talk show, but I have to check this out. But this guy's pretty dependable. He said that Putin is saying that global warming, the theory on global warming being caused by CO2 is rot. He doesn't believe in carbon taxing. He doesn't believe and he talked about the fact that it's being used to create a world government.
Wow.
Paris climate
he's
conference.
Been saying some very, very progressive things, Putin.
Right.
Hey, he's better than a lot of the Western ones, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's against GMO. He really shook things up in Syria by getting involved. He really showed how the U.S. was pretty much just, doing nothing to do the tricks that they created.
Yeah. I know the U.S. is involved with a lot of criminal practices. And,
well, not to say that they're not either, Chris, but
they're not. Yeah, I know. It's just certain countries have certain issues, but I feel that countries are collaborating on this whole geoengineering chemtrail scheme. I really do.
Oh yeah, absolutely, they are.
There has to be collaboration.
Yeah, because they're all doing it. Yeah.
Well, it's like I say. We were talking about this before, Tammy. It's a vital part of their radar systems and communication systems, and they want 3D computerized images of all this stuff. And they have these rooms where they can literally walk through, you see them in these science fiction movies. They're like whole rooms, like holographic imagery, and they want to have it really accurate. And they are concerned. I mean, they are concerned about issues with other countries, about infiltration, about spying, you name it. So one of the reasons they do, I think, spray a lot in California, because there's a lot of sensitive information being stored and developed down there. There's a lot of computer industry down there. There's a lot of think tanks, a lot of incredibly intelligent, technically gifted people living down there. Is there a lot of high tech in your area, Orange County?
Yeah.
No, there's not, but there is in. Go ahead.
Wait, I know Irvine, California has a lot of technology.
Yeah. I mean, Google's down there. Isn't there office for Google's down there?
Google's Mountain View, California, in the Bay Area.
Yeah. So they actually have ways too of actually, you're not going to believe this, but they actually have ways of reading communications from satellite without having any direct connection to the the phone lines or the communication lines, the Wi-Fi, the internet. I know the U.S. is doing this, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Russians are. So when they put up this shield of heavy metals, I think it blocks this sort of spying capabilities. And I think that might be another reason why it's so heavy in information technology areas like California.
Now, there's
Yeah.
many agendas though for the spraying. There's a lot of, by the way, there's a lot of money to be made with drought. You know, the heavy metal spraying, it creates a capping inversion and prevents storms from like popping up. And yeah, because storms cannot happen when there's that hot air layer, and uh, there's many. There's, I'm telling you though, there's so much money to be made by like from many directions, increasing water water rates, trying to make the water the next oil, just things like that.
Crop insurance.
Crop insurance, yeah. There's also I'm going to mention there are weather derivatives as well, which could be playing a part in you know
Betting on the weather.
certain areas. Yeah, it's like a giant. There's like a giant casino like up in Wall Street for that. There's also Chicago Mercantile Exchange handing those things out. It's it's a huge giant criminal system. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And it's really sad.
Oh,
It's heartbreaking.
Did you hear about the dir- hurricane options, whatnot, from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange? I'm pretty sure that the Gulf states are paying for hurricane insurance stuff,
Right.
hurricane
Just
futures, whatnot,
right.
and then they're expecting like a hurricane to come and there's a big payout, but the weather controllers they do not allow a hurricane to hit there. So, so yeah, it's pretty much a racketeering thing.
I know. I wonder if people, does anybody wonder about the fact that we don't have near as many hurricanes as we used to have?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
2004, 2005 was horrendous hurricanes,
yeah,
but after that, it's been rather quiet.
yeah. And I think at that point they were actually feeding them and playing around with what they could do as far as how large they can make them. I know that when all of those tornadoes hit in Oklahoma, they saw all kinds of chemtrailing right before it.
Yeah,
So they
there's many
were,
mixtures to it.
yeah, yeah. They can beef up a storm. They
They can
can,
kill a storm, prevent
yeah,
rain. There's just so many factors in here. It's
right.
very complicated.
Divert it. Yes.
Yeah, diverting. They've also been what I've what I've seen is like on the satellite maps. I've seen them spray over California in a giant moisture field coming in, and then out towards the Midwest and East Coast. There's a big storm that pops off.
Yeah.
So
And
they need a lot of moisture to do whatever they do. There's also engineered snowstorms which require that same exact moisture from many directions.
hmm and then it's interesting too because now I hear from people that live in New York that they're saying that the snow doesn't melt the way it used to.
Oh yeah, people. There was actually a video of people trying to, burn the snow with a lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of creepy.
And then there was another one that came out right after that that debunked it.
Mhm.
But I believe that it is true because we have
Yeah,
friends from New York and they were saying that the snow doesn't melt. It just keeps piling up. She said we get a snow. And then she said that what would used to happen is it would melt and then we would get another snow, but she says now it doesn't melt and it just keeps
yeah,
piling high.
yes. It's a bunch of like
Yeah, they're using
toxic,
chemicals.
toxic chemicals in
Yeah,
there.
they're
Yeah.
using chemicals to create snow. I think it's called ice nucleation.
Yeah, ice nucleation. They need a lot of moisture for that.
Mhm.
for the engineered snowstorm stuff.
Yeah, but the bottom line, what's the most heartbreaking thing about all of this is what's happening to our environment.
I
And
know.
I'm a hiker. And I'm an outdoors person, and I've hiked in these canyons in California for, oh gosh, 35 years. And what I see happening is just breaking my heart. I see oak trees that are the hardiest trees. They've been around for tens of thousands of years. The Indians lived off the acorns, and we have, when we go hiking, we see holes in the rocks where the native Indians used to pound the acorns and make meals out of those. But
Mhm.
these trees that are hardy and could withstand pretty much anything are dying, and I mean they are dying by the thousands, hundreds of thousands, and
It's not just the drought. It's more of
it's
like it's the excessive UV. The ionospheric heaters actually, every time they're used, they punch a hole in the ozone layer, allowing deadly UV both UVB and UVC to reach the surface. And yeah, and then there's
and
also the heavy metal contamination, which pretty
yes,
much
it's
it
destroying
it
the
yeah, it's
balance, the pH balance in the soil.
a pH balance. And the metals also, and that causes the root systems pretty much to shut down. First the top of the tree goes, and then the rest of it.
Yeah. Now
So
explain,
explain it
Chris,
to me,
what UV.
Tammy, do you find that the side of the trees that are facing south tend to be burnt? The bark is coming off
Well,
more
some
so than on
sides,
the other side.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I have to tell you, the sun is hotter than it has ever been. It is just unbelievable how hot the sun is these days. And I know I've lived in California all my life, and I know what the sun used to feel like. I was a sun worshiper. I love to lay out in the sun. I can't stand to be out in it now. It's
yeah.
so hot.
It's very, very hot, and
Yes.
I've noticed a huge change in the sun around 2012, summer of that. I was at a beach near San Diego, and yeah, I just, I'm like, oh my gosh. I told my mom that something just doesn't feel right here. This was before I was, you know, involved with all this geoengineering stuff, and yeah, I had to get out of there.
Yeah. It's unbearable. It really is.
Well,
I remember,
you can't sit in the sun for more than half an hour these days. I mean, even up
Yeah.
here in the northern, we're quite a
here.
bit north of you guys. Well, actually, we're not that far north of you. Actually, it's as the way it works out. But um, yeah, I mean, it really isn't safe, in my opinion, to be
I
out in
know.
the sun for very long anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Has been the ozone has been depleted substantially.
Yeah, because
I
these
don't know where these guys are going to live who are doing this. These people running these machines. It's
underground bunkers, I'm pretty sure,
yeah.
caves. But when the environment implodes, they only have like another year or so to survive.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do? Yeah,
They
They
can't
go
do much.
underground. You mean?
They
yeah.
can't do
Well,
too much.
yeah, but they can grow things underground too, Chris.
Yeah, I know. I know with UV lights and stuff, but
Yeah, yeah. Chris,
eventually,
explain what the UV. Explain the UVs? Can you explain that to the
all
listeners?
right. I'll
Yeah,
okay. There.
the
Okay. There's
C. Yeah.
okay. There's UVA, which is relatively harmless. There's UV. There's UVB.
What does the A
UVB.
stand for? What does the A stand
A is just oh shoot.
for? That's okay. That's all right.
Okay. The A is just it's just like it's just like a band of light.
Mm-hmm.
UVB is um it's the stuff that could cause down. That's the stuff that causes damage if you're out too long. Normally, the amount of UVB in comparison to the UVA is, well, UVB should be 5% of the light coming in, but yet there was actually a measurement here by Dane that showed that 60% of the light coming in was UVB now. which
Wow.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's caused by the shredded ozone layer, by the aerosols and ionospheric heaters. All of this stuff in combination with each other create huge holes in the ozone layer.
Hmm. And how
And
long? How
and
and how often do they? I mean, they're constantly using that. Yeah.
yeah, they
The
do it every
part.
day.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you might want to ask the radio stations too about how they're what's wrong with their UV meters
Yeah,
Well,
UV
because
this is the
meters.
thing.
they're reporting
They
5%
don't talk about it.
UVB here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
5%.
Okay.
It's
One
such a
person needs
lie.
to. Okay, one person needs to speak at a time. All right. Go on.
Okay, well, they don't talk about it anymore, Brian. They used to, in our newspaper, they used to have a UV, it was like a scale of 1 to 10. And they would say, okay, it's going to be 9 tomorrow, so you better put on a lot of sunblock and be careful. And they would also have it on the news stations.
Yes.
And so the meteorologist would say, oh, it's going to be an 8 tomorrow. Well, now they don't talk about
Yeah. They
the
don't talk
UV
about it.
they don't talk about the UVs anymore, and they do not print that in the newspaper anymore. The UV scale, they don't show that anymore.
I mean, you could still get UV maps online, but from what I hear, NOAA actually doesn't measure below 286 nanometers in the UV spectrum. That's 286 nanometers and below is pretty much where a lot of the increase in UV has come in. 280 nanometers is UVC, and yeah, UVC is germicidal, and yeah, it's one band below or one band above X-ray, and yeah, there is a slight amount right now of UVC reaching the surface because of the shredded ozone layer. It destroys DNA within a
Wow,
couple of seconds.
wow,
Yeah,
that's scary.
yeah,
It's a major cause of skin cancer, right?
um, yeah. A lot of UVB in combination with the UVC is causing an increase in skin cancer.
Yeah. Doesn't your husband have melanoma, Tammy?
Yes, he does. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and it spread, and it went to his bladder, and now it's in his lungs. But he is taking treatment at UCLA, and he's doing pretty well. But yeah, he got that. Gosh, it's been, I want to say, 7 years now. It started on the side of his head, and he's a surfer, and so we're all surfers. I don't do it anymore, but I used to surf too. All my boys
Yeah,
are. We have 50 people in our family. The majority of them used to go, and well, a lot of them still surf.
yeah.
So
It's dangerous though now
yeah, but
because of the excess UV.
exactly. But they won't stop doing it. Oh,
Yeah,
they'll
I
do.
know.
Yeah, they'll do.
They need some protection.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, so that's the deal with my husband, Brian. Yeah. So, and then skin cancer is rampant.
How long
Uh,
has he had skin cancer?
it's been 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Melanoma is a bad one. It's hard to treat. It can come back anytime, and it can come back anywhere. So you have to really be careful with it. They are finding new ways to treat it and being pretty successful at it. So he is getting treated at UCLA, and they have a new treatment. It's got a long name. It's MK something, but they call it MK for short. And so they're finding a lot of success with that.
I actually heard that cannabis oil could treat cancer.
I know, and
Yeah,
I would
Yeah.
love for my husband to go conventional, but it's not. It just he doesn't like. He just wouldn't do it,
oh
Chris.
dear.
But I
Oh,
would.
well, that's a shame. Yeah,
Yeah,
cannabis is great. It's a great plant.
right.
Yeah,
It's not. It's
it's
not
banned.
toxic. Yes.
Yeah, and it's actually it's not nearly as bad as tobacco, from what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but yet
And what they.
tobacco is still legal.
Yeah, exactly. And with cannabis, what they do is when they're treating you with cancer, they make it a concentrated form.
Yes.
And so yeah, and yeah, so they've been successful with that, and it's but
Yeah, I did a show the need to revive the hemp industry, and it was a guy named Eric Arik Rice Riss. He's put out an incredible documentary called Drug Laud, and he's got a second one coming out. He's going to be on my show the end of December. We're going to review his findings, and there's a big movement on around the world to revive the hemp industry. So this is a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think if we don't stop the geoengineering, nothing's going to matter.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know
We've got
Yeah.
geoengineering
it's
is pretty much
just doing so
the
much
tip of the
damage.
iceberg.
Yeah, it's doing so much damage.
I know.
UV is probably the most important part of the atmosphere. I mean, the ozone, I should say.
The ozone layer is pretty much the shield that pr- protects us from harmful UV radiation. And with these programs going on, that shield is being completely decimated. And I'm pretty sure if these programs don't stop, there will be no life in the northern hemisphere by 2030. Southern
Wow.
hemisphere 2040. I
Wow.
hate to be all doom and gloom, but I'm just telling you the
Who made
truth
those?
here.
Who made those? Okay, Chris. Who made those predictions? Was
What
it? Was
there's
it
guy
Dean?
there's guy McPherson. He's a half truther, but I mean he has some good points. But unfortunately, though, he completely denies the geoengineering issue. He turns his back to it, and
Really?
I believe that this guy McPherson person is being paid not to speak about it.
Wow.
I honestly believe that.
Well,
It's
yeah, a lot of the climate scientists are told if you mention it, they'll lose their funding.
yeah,
They're using,
non-profits as well.
yeah,
They don't want to use their they don't want to lose their 501k or whatever that was non-profit status. That goes for like many environmental organizations like Greenpeace and oh gosh, that's just one example. But you get the main point. It's a very bad decision in a large group to go public with this issue.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I think what unfortunately we need to start doing is trying to explain to people how dire
I
this
I know.
situation is. That's what they don't get.
Yeah, it's
They're thinking
extremely dire.
when you tell them, okay, we're being sprayed with chemicals, but I think what they need to understand is, and this has been the what's the word, but the just telling us that climate change is because of CO2s, and we
Yeah,
know
that's a
now
lie.
that yeah,
That's a
we know
lie.
now that they're the
Sure, it
ones that
could.
are
Sure, CO2 could. It is a greenhouse gas, but it doesn't trap nearly as much heat in as the aerosols and things they are spraying.
yeah, and
It's just a trace. It's just a trace gas.
yeah, what
So
we've
it's
come to
yeah,
understand and know is that they are the ones that have created the climate change. They are the ones that have
yeah,
created the ozone depletion, but they
yeah.
have
And that's
tried to yeah
gonna cause a bunch of crazy weather. What they're doing, and they're just trying to confuse the population. I know for the last few years they've been doing this whole polar vortex thing, cool down the eastern United States. Of course, it's manufactured with. They use both the aerosols and ionospheric heaters to do that. And yeah, you know how bad it was, how cold it was back east
oh yeah
this previous
oh
winter and the winter
yeah
before.
yes they
Yeah,
said the coldest winter they've ever experienced.
now they're doing they're doing it on the other side of the country now. It seems from what I've seen on my satellite data maps and yeah,
Where, Chris?
satellite data maps.
I know, but where on the other side? You mean you're talking?
I'm talking on the other side of the nation.
Oh,
East Coast.
the
The
East
East
Coast.
Coast. Okay,
Okay.
the East Coast is where they focused all the cold for the past few years, but now it
Yeah.
seems like they're driving all the cold down here. You know how cold it has been recently,
Yeah.
below normal.
Mhm.
That's a result of a man-made. Uh, that's a man-made system, basically. It's like
Right.
they dry.
They
They
push the air down here. They push the
yeah they
cold
dry.
air.
Yeah, they dry. They have a huge high pressure system out on the Pacific. No, it's not above us. Now it's more to the west, it seems, and then to the east there seems to be another high pressure system, and in between there's a tightly squeezed low pressure system, and then after, yeah, I believe they're ice nucleating down there, like in the on the west coast now to create some snow, but still they have many objectives. They want to keep drought going, and yeah, after the low pressure passes, just after that, a lot of cold air is behind it because the flow is coming from the northwest, and it's bringing all the cool temperatures down here. That's what they've been
Yeah.
doing recently.
Yeah. This is the latest and the greatest.
Yeah, it's been a bit warmer than normal out here, but I'd like I say, I mean, the fact that we don't really know how bad the ozone is here, but the weather's been almost normal
You
here
know,
out in the East Coast.
You know
it,
that Dane Wigington has measured it as high as 45 in some areas.
oh,
Hmm.
okay. I think
Hey
we're going
guys,
on
I'm
a
coming
break
up
now.
with a break here, so
All right, I'll
right.
mute.
Thanks, guys. Welcome back to I'm Nature. I'm your host, Brian Porter, and today we're talking about a geoengineering rally that's coming up on the 21st. And we're going to get back to that in a second, but I have to do my promo for the station, my fundraising promo, because hey, this is the only one of the few places on the planet where you're going to get the real scoop on what's going on, whether it's political, economic, whether it's psychic research, whether it's spiritual information, indigenous knowledge, you name it. We got it all covered here at Revolution Radio. It's uncensored, completely uncensored. We can say whatever we want within certain limits. We're certainly, asked to be polite and all that kind of stuff, and that makes sense. But I mean, this is one of the most open platforms on anywhere, internet or land-based radio, for all topics. So we take callers, whenever. It's up to each host, but this is one of the best platforms on the planet. It's very well supported, very high listenership, but we do need your support. And I always plug the archives for $5 a month, folks. You get access to 80 different shows. You can pick up any show. You can download it. You can listen to it live on your computer, whatever way you want to do it. But man, is that ever a steal of a deal? And I encourage people to support Revolution Radio because, Hawk can't afford to do it for nothing. I mean, it's costing about $4,500 a month. So we need your support, and I encourage people to make an effort to kick in $5 a month to a great resource for knowledge. And so there's my bit for the station. Now, getting back to my great guests, Tammy and Chris, we're talking about this rally. Tammy, can you reiterate and say it again? Where is this rally? What time and all that good stuff?
Yes, it's going to be in Orange, California, at the Orange Circle. It's going to be Saturday, November 21st. It's going to start at 1 o'clock and end at 2:30. And we have our groups OC against geoengineering and also OC March against chemtrailing and geoengineering.
Facebook groups.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And who's going to be your special guest at your next rally?
Michael Murphy. So we're so excited to have him come.
Yeah, it's an honor to meet him twice in person. I met him once at the Los Angeles rally. I'm surprised he actually came. He's actually coming to local one here.
Yeah. He's so knowledgeable. He's done so much for the movement.
I know.
He's
What in the world?
made,
Why in the world
yeah.
are we spraying? It's great.
He's
great
coming
films.
on in half an hour. He's going to be on our show at the bottom of the hour, and he's going to sort of give an update on what's going on. I'll check in with this what Putin said. Maybe he should know about that.
Right.
Just to verify if Putin actually said this, because this is very progressive. I I'm going to ask him about getting Putin's support for anti-geoengineering. I mean, he's saying so many progressive things. Hopefully, he'll say something about that. That would really blow the lid off if a world leader like Putin would say, "Hey, let's stop destroying the ozone and the biosphere with geoengineering." That would really get things rocking.
It would be great,
Right.
but unfortunately, though, I don't see that happening. I know I'm I'm sad to put a bunch of doubt in here, but we got to talk about reality.
Well, you know, he said a lot of, and what's
Yeah,
his name? Donald Trump said some shocking things too. So, I mean,
I don't know.
I don't
Donald
think it hurts
Trump
to
is just
ask
I
and
don't.
find out and try. And one of these days, I'm going to call the Russian embassy and talk to them about it here in Canada and see if I can get some people on in discussing the whole
That
range of things. He
that'd be
said a
cool.
lot of positive things about anti-GMO, anti-globalism. Now he's talking about anti-CO2, anti-global warming agenda. He's coming in our direction.
Yeah,
Wow.
What about it?
he's pretty
That's
good.
amazing. That's amazing. Who's to say? You never know, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
You never know.
I mentioned this about I was on another show and Dane was supposed to come on, but he couldn't make it, so a guy named Doug Diamond was on. He's his website webmaster, and he was on, and I threw that idea out there. Says Putin's saying a lot of progressive things. We should start encouraging him to talk about geoengineering. So lo and behold, he's moving in the right direction. So we can't give up. We have to keep trying. We have
Yeah,
to be imaginative and come up with new ways of promoting this issue because
yeah, I know.
it's the low end. It's the least. I have 8 planet killers. It's the one that's least known, and it's the one that's probably most ominous.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's yeah, no
Absolutely.
environment, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just like Dane was saying, he thinks we got about 5 years. If we don't do something about it in 5 years, it's going to have the after effects of it are really going to be difficult to deal with. So
Yeah, I know.
we really have to get this issue out there. And the great thing about the issue is it's not like GMO or nuke radiation. I mean, the after effects of that are going to last for generations and thousands of years. We'll have to deal with it. But with geoengineering, it's just okay. Let's stop it. Let's stop it.
Well,
No,
you gotta,
we see it in the sky. We'll know if it's going on, and we can complain. I mean, we
Right.
just got to get it out in the mainstream, one way or another. Hit that critical mass, and,
yeah,
And
yeah, I know.
it's
We're
going.
getting, we're getting very, very close to critical mass, but I feel that a lot of people are just they're not out on the streets doing enough.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's willful ignorance is a big problem.
Yeah, ignorance is
Um,
bliss, isn't it? But in the end, it's not good.
yeah. And Brian, you might want to mention the fact that, the layman terms is chemtrails. Because a lot of people don't know. Most people know it by chemtrails, and some people might not know that it's, geoengineering is chemtrailing. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to
Yeah,
put that out there too. But yeah, I think what we need to do, Brian, is just. I mean, we would always try to tread lightly when we would do our protest because we didn't want to scare people off. Because when you start to tell them about this and they have no clue, they look at you like you have two heads. So you have to start out very careful and
I
talk
know.
about, that, yeah, the government is, spraying these chemicals to genetically engineer the weather. And you have to go very careful. You can't tell them the real deal too soon. But I think what we can do and what we can, Chris, and what we can
Yeah.
talk to them about is that the ozone is depleting because of this and how quickly
Yes.
it will deplete and how much time we have. And I know people think that that's crazy, but that's one thing
Well,
we
you
have.
have to get into the issue somehow.
Yeah, and we have to get it across.
You
And
know,
if it go
One thing
ahead.
uh,
you tell people, and I've convinced most of my neighbors that it exists. They don't seem to want to do much about it.
Yeah.
But people are not just willfully ignorant. They're just they don't really have a political backbone anymore. It's a condition of
it's
Western
apathy.
society. But
Yeah.
it doesn't take that many people to create uh, a hellstorm about this stuff. It takes far less than 1% of the population to create change. That's been proven
And
in research.
yes, yes,
Once you get to the political level and you get to the so some of the leading business leaders, so you get a few people from the mainstream movie business stars, musical artists, whatever. A couple of these people can make a huge difference. And
you know what happened with Kylie Jenner when she tried to speak out? Yeah, they pretty much railroaded her because
Right. Because
you
she was
know
trying to speak out about the chemtrailing,
she
right?
said she said she used the chemtrails term, which
Right.
I know regular Joe Sixpack or whatever um would know what it is,
Yes.
and come to know that term. Should I say
I
that?
think, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's a layman's term, but
it's
basically
just if you go to the
it's part of
chemtrailing sites, you get a lot of disinfo. So
yeah
Dane recommends you use the term aerosol spraying or geoengineering.
climate engineering.
Yeah.
Right.
I like to use the I also like to use the term weather control,
Or
but
weather modification,
weather
solar.
modification, yes,
Right.
stuff like that because well, I mean it's weather control is part of geoengineering and it's like a single layer in it, but there
Right.
I'm telling you though, there's many objectives.
Yes. Many layers to the onion.
Yeah,
And you have to peel them back very slowly,
you know I
right? For
Well,
you
some.
know
I'm going to have a guest on. She wrote a book called Full Spectrum Dominance. I mean, she thinks it's the cause of many, many, many problems, and we're going to get
yeah
more deeply into that in
I know
another show. I don't know if you know Alana Freeman, or I think that's her name, Freeland.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Well,
Alana
yes.
Freeland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Brian, before I forget, one thing we are trying to do, we are thinking about, we are in the process of, is we want to have an awareness festival. And so we want to have it in Orange County. And we're starting the process right now. We have a lot of musicians in our group alone. And so
Oh yeah,
I know.
that's an excellent idea. We talked about that too offline.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So that's a direction I want to head into. I feel comfortable with that. And Ralph Ely, he has, like, again, he knows so many people, and he was, giving me some names and some people to talk to that he knows that are already in the process of doing this, of creating this awareness, or making this happen, this awareness festival. So I think that's something. It's positive. Like you said, Brian, you have to be positive, in order to get through to these people. Like you showed that comedian to me. That's
Oh, I mean
that.
that guy is great. I'd love to see him do a skit. It'd be great to have a comedy festival just focused on environmental issues.
Hmm.
I mean, you can make
Yeah,
anything funny if you're a genius comedian like that chap was Casey somebody.
yeah. And it would be great to have comedians as well as bands and groups and singers and speakers. That would be great. I think it would be a lot of fun to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, try to get. There's a rap song out there about geoengineering. I thought that it's actually a great song done by a teenage band. I forget the name of them, but it's starting to get into the music world, and this is
yeah
the stuff. I mean, this is what people want to feel, that there's hope. They want to feel that there's some fun attached to everything nowadays. And this is why so many charities raise a lot of money for different causes, because they make it fun. They have a fun walk, or they have like a concert.
Right, right,
Music is a big part of any message. So,
right.
yes
I was thinking today about creating a musical, like a musical about a lot of these issues. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And we got to get the arts community involved, and
yeah we need to
it can be an alternative arts community, but people love to sit down and listen to music. And if you just hit them nonstop with, the end of the world stuff, they just walk away.
Yeah, they
They
want
have
nothing to. They want nothing to
enough
do with
things in
it.
their life that are driving them crazy. When they go out to a rally, they don't want to get depressed. And
Yeah.
I think
I know.
this is what's turned a lot of people away from a lot of movements. And you tend to get the people that are really kind of strung out coming to these things, and
Yeah.
that's another thing. So one of the things I said in my note about this upcoming show is that Tammy represents the mainstream, and I'm mainstream too. I'm not, you look at me, I look like I just walked out of the military. I got short hair, you know. So I don't want to look like a hippie or somebody who's like really kind of like way out there, because I want to attract people who are like me, who see me and don't see me as being somewhat odd or different. And I think
Right.
it's important that we appeal to that mainstream, because they are the ones that are going to make the difference.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree. I absolutely agree with you, Brian. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really glad that you're working on that. That'd be really cool. There's another group that I've really, Ralph's very involved with this group too, Ralph Ely. We're like best buddies now. We talk every day almost.
Oh, great.
Uh,
Good.
oh, he's a super guy,
Yes.
and we're in the same zone, I'd say. And he introduced me to a group called the Liberty Beacon, and they want to bring not just geoengineering groups together, but the whole environmental movement together. He said there's so many people, there's so many web pages. He says they did a count, and there's like 1,000 different on Facebook alone, 1,000 different web pages on each issue, where geoengineering, anti-nuke, anti-GMO, anti-rainforest destruction, anti-chemicals in the water, anti-fluoride, all the different groups. And he's saying we're basically fighting the same problem.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
all intertwined.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need to build bridges to all these people involved with the environmental movement.
yeah, yeah. And I mentioned this to Dane when he first came on my first interview, and he's done some work, but this group, they are really a quality bunch. Everyone I've met from it is really on the ball. So I'm hoping that they can create some sort of a synergy between the different groups, and use that power to start launching lawsuits and buying time on mainstream TV, commercials, billboards. It's just a matter of really, it's just an issue of just putting the message out there in many places as you can, and creating
Wow.
discussion, confronting politicians. There's such a wide range of strategies that can be employed.
Yeah,
You can
there's a
Yeah.
lot of
hire
stuff.
experts
You can
in developing movements too.
Yeah, you can do a lot of things. I like to look at satellite weather data and see how messed up it is.
Yeah, I've noticed
I mean, when you
you've
see
got interest in that. You'd like who's my other guest that's coming on? I just picked that one up. You must know her. Let me just pull up my file on that. Ann Fillmore. She's
Oh, yeah.
constantly showing
Yes.
satellite
We know
imagery of
her. Uh-huh.
chemtrails. Yeah, she's coming
Yeah.
on in 2 weeks, and we'll be talking about. She's constantly posting on your sites, and she's got a long interview with like 4 separate parts she did somewhere. So I haven't listened to it yet, but
Okay.
all right.
She's good.
I'm
She's
pretty up on the issue. I mean, for me, my push in everything I do is to create change, concrete ideas, strategizing. I know the problems. Believe me, I've lived. I've been doing this, researching this stuff for 40 years, especially the military-industrial complex. So I'm all over this, and this is just one wing of the military-industrial complex,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
of
geoengineering.
course it is.
And there's no doubt about it. Nobody else could do this other than the military. No.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. One of the whistleblowers, what was her name? Christine or Chris? And she was from
Let's see. I forgot her
Kristen.
name.
Or was it
Oh
Kristen?
yeah, let's see, Kristen Megan, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was a whistleblower. She was actually, her job was to, if there was a toxic spill at one of the military, excuse me, bases, her job was to go figure out, okay, how are they going to clean it up? And she started seeing on the computer all of this product being ordered. And it was aluminum and barium and strontium. and she saw the huge amounts that were being ordered, and she couldn't understand what would they use something like that for. And so she started asking questions, and they kept telling her, it's none of your, you better, stop asking questions. This is not your business. And so she started testing
That's
the
very suspicious.
soils. Yeah, she started testing the soils around the bases and was finding high levels of aluminum, barium, and strontium. Um, so she started digging in and asking questions more aggressively, and they basically told her, they threatened her. They told she had a son, I think it's a son, and they threatened that they would kill her family.
Wow.
If she were, yeah, it got serious.
That's how these people operate.
Mhm.
Like
She got,
when you
but,
start challenging the system, they basically go after your family and everything.
mhm, mhm.
Especially if you're in a pretty good position like she was in.
Right. Right. So she's still a whistleblower to this day, and she's still alive, and so is her family. So
Yeah, I
thank
know.
God for that. Yeah.
Well, Dane mentioned that she's sort of like gotten pretty quiet under the
Yeah,
pressure.
I've noticed that lately. Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
Yeah,
wondering why.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I mean,
yeah.
you can only take so much risk. A lot of people don't want to go the whole distance. But I mean, she's
I
got her
know.
videos out there. She's. I don't think she's been any of her videos have been taken off the internet. So she did
Oh,
what she
got it.
could do. She feels she's safe to do.
Yeah.
But there's more and more people coming out. I mean, there was an article posted about quote cloud seeding in one of the main. I think it was Bloomberg News. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big business. It's the same kind of technology, maybe a bit different, but there's no doubt that they're manipulating the weather.
Of
Yeah.
And
course.
this
Yeah.
should not be allowed, and that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the bottom line. We
Yeah. But
let nature
I
return.
consider weather manipulation an act of ecocide, genocide, and terrorism. No one has the right to modify the weather. Period.
Yeah. Absolutely. Also, too, one of the main whistleblowers in this whole movement was I think he was the head of the CIA, and he died. I think it's been like 3 years now, four
Wait,
years
are
ago.
you talking about Ted Gunderson?
Yes. Yes.
He was FBI.
Oh no, not Ted Gunderson. Actually, there
Oh,
was another
someone
one.
else?
Yeah, I think there was another one that was head of
Oh,
CIA, because this is where this all
CIA.
started, was in the CIA.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'll have to investigate it, but he supposedly died of a heart attack. How did Ted Gunderson die, Chris?
Oh, he died because yeah, he must have taken up some poison in a drink or something.
Seriously?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Wow. So,
Like his drink was laced with something.
seriously.
I believe so.
So I didn't hear that. I didn't know that.
Please do some research into it and tell me if I'm wrong or not because I'm pretty sure that's how he died.
Yeah, a lot of these whistleblowers have been knocked off.
Yeah, when these people go around and higher level people go around saying things the power structure doesn't like them to say, that's what happens. Those people end up dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, based upon just the Reading event, they had what 10 or so different speakers.
Yeah, they had a lot of speakers.
The scientists, you got enough people. You got ex meteorologists who were talking about it. You got all sorts of people who work for the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife. You
Yeah,
a whole range of people. You got some ex CIA guys, ex military guys. Ralph Ely's an ex military guy. He can speak on it for hours. I mean,
all right.
they're starting. I think there's enough experts, very credible people now to offer a very, very convincing case that it's going on.
Yeah.
And I think we've got enough
Yeah,
people now at that level. Now it's just an issue of
yeah,
strategizing
yeah. I know.
in funding, raising funds to get the message out there.
Yeah, we need to go down many avenues, whether it be from weather maps, uh, data online, billboards, etc.
Tammy? Have you ever showed one of like Michael Murphy's movies or any of Dane's stuff at your rallies? Have you ever had like a TV there or a movie screen?
No, we aren't allowed to do that where we're protesting, because it's though they have certain rules which you can and cannot do. So we're not allowed to have loudspeakers or, tables or anything like that. We're just basically out on that street protesting. So we hold signs and we pass out flyers. We pass out Dane Wigington's flyers, his website and all his informational flyers. And we just talk to the people and tell them what's going on. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious because I think those movies I find to be very convincing. If I can get some of my global warming friends to watch one of those movies, that usually what turns them because there's so much information and it's very credible on those movies. They are really good at moving people's consciousness in the right direction.
Yeah.
We tried to get the movie Look Up into a local theater here. And unfortunately, we weren't able to. We needed 68 people to buy tickets, and we couldn't get that number. Believe it or not, it was really heartbreaking to me. That I thought once we started that, I thought, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. 68 tickets, I can sell 68 tickets. And the unfortunate thing is, I posted to all of these websites, these Facebook websites, Facebook sites that are all, geo engineering and chemtrailing. And nobody, I couldn't get anyone to buy a ticket. And that was heartbreaking to me. It's very disheartening.
Yeah, it's just people doing nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like I say, you have to persevere. There's just no other way around it. Let's think of the movements that people, like I say, like any sort of social change movement, there's usually a lot of reticence until it becomes popular. People are reticent to get involved and support. Yeah. And okay, I'm trying to hook up with Michael here now, Michael Murphy.
And you have him.
All right. Okay, I had this a little caution symbol in your picture. Now it's gone away. So, Michael, welcome to I Am Nature.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Much more important, thanks for covering the issue of geoengineering. Very important, and God, there are so many very important things going on. It's a very critical time in the work that we do. So I really appreciate your support of getting the message out.
I'm covering this issue 3 of the 4 next shows. I've got some really good top people coming on. Of course, this week is with Tammy Murphy. No relation to you.
Hi, Michael.
And Chris.
Hey, Tammy. How are you?
Good.
You're going to be at their rally on the 21st, and that's just 3 days away.
Absolutely. Going to drive down to Orange County, and I'm very excited. And I have my 25 by 5 foot banners, which can be seen for about a quarter mile. It's very much of a bold statement. They state chemtrails, geoengineering are crimes against nature and humanity. So it's a very strong message. And the other one, not sure, I forgot what it states, but at any rate, very excited to go down and meet some of the activists. And it's been quite a long time since I've been down to Orange County. So looking forward to this event.
Okay. Yeah, we're looking forward to having you, Michael.
We're thankful that you're showing up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Chris has already been out to your event out at the Venice Beach.
Yeah, at Venice Beach. Yeah, I didn't get enough time to speak with you, Michael.
Well, we'll catch up in just a couple of days. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, if people know that you're coming, I think it's going to help people come out because you and Dane are the 2 top people in the world, in my opinion, on the issue of geoengineering. You used to work together, but you made those 2 great movies together, and now you've sort of gone your separate paths. But that's not a big deal. People choose different paths. But wow, you guys, you two guys have done more to advance the issue of geoengineering than anybody on the planet.
Yeah, we included him in the films, but certainly it wasn't involved in making them. But he was a big part of the films. He played a role of many of our interviews. So, at any rate, we're moving forward with a 3rd film. My team here, which is very exciting. We just worked out a deal with a new editor for an unconventional shade of gray, unconventionalgray.com. As a website, and we're very excited. This is a team that has had various Emmy Awards. They have been in the show, so to speak, here in Hollywood, and they've done a lot of feature, very big budget films. So we're going to be bringing that team in with the footage that I have and really bringing, I believe it will be the most powerful film. And it really is not an informational film, but it's a call to action film. And based on the dynamics that we have at this moment, it's a very critical time in our activism. And it's related to this France climate meeting. I had the opportunity, of course, to go to France this summer and listen to the climate talks and the plans that they have, and it's a critical time because what they're planning on doing, based on the current models, they're planning on creating global governance, and what this will do, it will, if passed, allow an unelected body, the IPCC, and the UN to literally circumvent constitutions, state laws, and create a global governance, which is going to be a carbon dictatorship. And again, this will be an unelected body that will be micromanaging our life, not only through taxation without representation. What they will also be doing is monitoring us in our homes through the smart meters, not only determining when we can use power, but even what products we use in our homes. So this is a complete shift of power away from sovereign nations into the hands of the corporations that will be capping us in terms of the carbon usage that we have. Unless you have money, then you will be able to trade and purchase carbon credits and live your free life that you are today. But it's all based on flawed models. And the reason is they're sourcing CO2 as the cause for the changes in our climate. And when we go back, geoengineering is the key in this entire issue because geoengineering programs, which we're aware of, are ongoing and they're designed to change our planet's temperature and also to manipulate our weather. And because of that, because they do this, it's literally impossible to tell whether the planet's warming or cooling. And because of that, it makes all of the climate models, every one of them, not only flawed, but also by those who are in the know, it makes them fraudulent. Because again, one of the biggest factors is geoengineering. And if it's not included in the model, it's fraudulent. So in unconventional gray, what we have started is an aerosol collection project. So we're taking airplanes up into the sky, testing the trails, and now we have paragliders who are going up to test the trails. And we will get conclusive proof that they are geoengineering. Now we have rain tests, hundreds from around the world, and those are very indicative of geoengineering programs because what we're finding are the metals named, not only in geoengineering models, but also numerous patents. And again, these metals are showing up in a rain everywhere. It's an exact match. We are aware that it's going on, but however, bringing this into a courtroom, you need more conclusive evidence. So we have world-renowned scientist, J. Marvin Herndon, who is overseeing this project. He's going to be writing a peer-reviewed, court-admissible paper. So a peer-reviewed paper can be used in court. Once we get the proof that we're expected to, it will be non-debatable that geoengineering programs are ongoing, and then we can stop the climate agreement, which, again, if passed, it will create the framework to legalize geoengineering without our input, without the input of our legislators. And again, this will be a dictatorship. So they're going to spray whether we like it or not. We won't have a say on this. So my goal is to get this issue into the courts once we have proof. And I don't have much faith in many of the court systems, but our goal is to expand this project into all regions around the world and bring it into all courts around the world. And it's very important that we stop these climate talks, these mandates that they've already started with in states like California. And there are damages. People now are being taxed for this. So we have the ability to recoup these damages. But bottom line is this, because geoengineering, the framework will be set, again, to legalize geoengineering, it's critical that we show that these models are flawed, and then we have a chance in stopping geoengineering. But again, this is a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and it's a complete shift of power into the hands of the power elite at the expense of everything, our freedom, our sovereignty, our national laws. And again, if you cannot trade and purchase carbon credits, you will be capped. And again, micromanage not only on the days that you can drive, how much you can drive. Now they're monitoring and starting taxation programs in terms of how many miles people are driving. You will be limited in all areas of your life. And again, I can't stress enough, these models are flawed, they're fraudulent. We can prove that. And because of that, we can break this agenda and get geoengineering stopped.
Well, I heard some very good news today. In the one of the main leaders on the planet, good old Vladimir Putin, is saying that he is not going to cooperate with this global movement to tax carbon, cap and trade, all this nonsense, which is just a way of ripping off the taxpayer even more and getting nothing back from government.
Well, that's
Did you hear what he was saying today about not cooperating and saying he saying a lot of the same things that you're saying? Now he hasn't quite gotten to geoengineering yet, but I have a feeling he's going to get there at some point.
Well, here's the challenge. What they're doing, again, they're consolidating all this power. And the way that they're bringing this about for undeveloped nations, they're giving financial incentives. So they're going to be taxing us and giving our money to developed nations to come on board with this new government. And what they will be doing, they're doing an incentive and then a whole bunch of penalties. So countries that do not get on board with this, not only are we looking at financial war waged, but also possible other war tactics, troop deployment, what have you. So what they're essentially going to do is be dropping the economies in developed countries and using that money to bring us all down to a poverty-based level where we're packed into cities based on Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 objectives. And they're using this entire agenda to corporatize and all resources, even water. So now Bechtel, which owns 85%, I believe, of the world's privatized water, they're one of the major beneficiaries in this agenda. But again, this is a corporate dictatorship, which is related as well to the TPP. The TPP now, they're forming global tribunals, and these tribunals are run by the corporations. So the way that they're writing this legislation on the TPP, which is directly related to the climate change legislation, if any state government, let's say you're California, and you want to put up mandates to stop geoengineering, if any government interferes with the profitability of the corporations, this tribunal, again, that's run by the corporations, they will have the ability to sue local, county, state governments. And that's what we're moving into, a corporately run dictatorship. And interrelated with geoengineering is that carbon dictatorship. This is a plan not only to depopulate us, it is to bring us into bankruptcy and really strip us of all of our rights, our freedoms, and form global governance, which is the New World Order. This is extremely oppressive. This is the biggest shift of power in the history of the planet. This is the major issue. There's nothing more important right now. And if we allow this transfer of power, we essentially will allow a corporate government to depopulate, to do all kinds of oppressive measures, whatever they determine. And all based on this idea of CO2. Now, the Obama administration just had announced that they are bringing a UN police force to police in America, and I want the audience to realize what this means. The UN police force is not coming to protect our constitutional rights. They are coming to impose laws, and those who do not adhere to this dictatorship will be oppressed. They will most likely be arrested, put in jail. Who knows what's going on? But this is a huge shift of power, and it is not good for any of us.
Well, my guest next week was charged for speaking out against, arguing with some experts about the fact that Fukushima is wreaking havoc in the Pacific and on land in California. It's a big problem too. And they threw him in jail. He was charged. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's coming down the pipe, Michael, and I agree. This is a huge shift in power of sovereign states. And man, I mean, if this thing is established, I mean, we're in big trouble.
If it's established, and let me tell you, this idea of free speech is a thing of yesterday. If we allow this to move forward, the Obama administration is calling climate change a national security threat. What are they saying? They're essentially saying those of us who speak against this agenda, or perhaps bring geoengineering into this agenda, are terrorists. That's what they're calling us. So I believe that UN police force is being brought in to make sure that people do not speak about this. I want to be very clear with my stance on global warming or global cooling. I don't argue that. I don't debate that. I know one thing for sure. While geoengineering,
Oh, did we lose Michael?
Oh
yeah,
no.
somebody just tried to call me, so it dropped me. I want to make a very clear statement.
Okay.
I cannot determine whether the planet's warming or cooling while geoengineering programs are going on. There's no question about it. It is impossible to determine what the planet's doing. And I often relate it to, let's say you're in your home. It's almost like turning the heat up and saying, oh my God, it's really getting hot outside. Now, it might be getting hot outside. It could be getting cold outside. What you have to do is turn the heat off and allow the house to calibrate, which will take some time, and then you can make a more accurate determination. But while you have that heat on, you cannot determine whether it's warming or cooling. So the most effective way for this movement to stop geoengineering is, again, addressing geoengineering in relation to climate change. If you're supportive of the global warming issue or the global warming agenda, you are essentially supporting the legalization of geoengineering, and that's how important this is. But again, I don't get into the debate. I know that's been brought into the movement, and many people have argued over it. Again, what's undebatable is that we cannot determine what the planet's doing, and you certainly cannot move forward by taxing people, by removing their rights, forming a new government with taxation without representation, and that's what's going on. So right now, again, we're at a very critical time because our adversaries are moving forward by taking legal and legislative action. And while the dissemination of information is still very important, I want to encourage everyone to do that. What's even more important is that we also take time addressing this legally and legislatively. And I would hate to see the movement only handing out DVDs, only handing out flyers while this treaty is passed, because they will be laughing. They're not concerned about how many people are aware of this issue. They're concerned about their political objectives being met. And right now, they've got a free ride into the goalpost. And this movement, we are the one movement that has the ability to stop this. And the only way, again, to stop this is by addressing this global climate agreement, this climate change agenda. And that's my goal and objective for an unconventional shade of gray. And it's going to be a call to action film with very specific things that we must do. And I'm very confident that we have more than a fighting chance to stop this and to bring the power back into our court and have control over what's going on, because it is fraudulent. There's no question about that, this whole agenda.
Yeah. Michael, is anyone at this COP21 conference even allowed to speak about geoengineering as a possible cause of a lot of the issues that we're facing?
Oh, absolutely not. And what was interesting, I had an opportunity to speak and even interviewed some of the world's most prestigious climate scientists. All of them agreed with me that because certain factors, including various forms of geoengineering, were left out of the models, they agreed with me that the models were not accurate. However, what the general consensus is, there is billions of dollars of grant money. And it was very clear to us that a number of these scientists, while I think a lot of them essentially at the heart thought that they were doing good things and saving the planet, the grants are funded towards looking at CO2 in terms of being a greenhouse gas. They weren't paying people to go against this multi-trillion-dollar industry. So the money, the very people that benefit from this, are funding the universities. They're funding people who are doing these studies. But again, if you're paid to look at CO2 in terms of being a source of global warming, well, CO2 is a greenhouse gas. So is water vapor. You know, there are a number of greenhouse gases which are all needed to keep our planet in balance. And but again, none of them are funded to look for geoengineering as being a source. Some scientists, although they were aware of certain atmospheric aerosols that impacted our climate, especially the temperature, they were not specifically studying the impacts of geoengineering. They said perhaps it was coming from volcanoes and everything else. But they were very clear. I interviewed a professor from India, and he said, you know, these models are completely inaccurate because we're finding many atmospheric aerosols that are changing the climate, especially changing the glaciers and in the melting or the lack of melting of the glaciers in that area. And he said, nobody's paying us to look for this. He said, these are my studies and the models are inaccurate. They're flawed. So again, you can't move forward with taxing people. You can't move forward with taking people's money, with taking away their rights, removing the sovereignty of nations. And that's what we're seeing. It's a carbon dictatorship that they're planning. And the people at the top, the very people who are funding this, that will benefit with trillions of dollars and this huge transfer of power and wealth, they're not subject to these laws. They're not subject to these laws. They are beneficiaries, though, of this entire campaign. So, again, it's our goal, and I know I'm repeating myself, but it's a very critical time in our movement. It's the most critical time ever, and we have to really get the grasp of how important this is and what we need to do to move forward. And again, if this agreement gets passed, um, it will provide the framework to legalize geoengineering. And again, a lot of our legislators, I was in California and spoke to a number of our state legislators. I was shocked at how few, actually none of the legislators were aware of the impacts that this legislation or this climate change agreement, how it would impact their work. And essentially what it's going to do, if passed, it will strip away our legislators' ability to legislate, to have the power and authority to govern areas. It's completely going out of their jurisdiction. So we're talking about various things, even local community planning. It's all going to be geared around Agenda 21 objectives, which is this whole new green, uh, corporate agenda. So we're going to have certain companies that are putting out certain projects. It will be mandated that we purchase certain products. Some of them might be good for the environment. And I'm an environmentalist and I bike most places. I have a vehicle, but I bike most places. However, to mandate me to bike when, let's say, when I should be able to drive, well, that might not be a bad thing. But the mandate part is a bad thing because it's based on scientifically flawed models.
Well, I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you, Michael. I'm glad that I've got you coming on the 9th because you're going to be over there. You're going to be right in the heart of the huge the decisions that are going to be made because the conference is what 7th, 8th, and 9th of well, there's all sorts of other stuff happening leading up to it,
The
but the main conference is 7th, 8th, and 9th, right in France.
No, it's actually November 30th, and I believe it ends on the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And
Oh, okay.
these agreements are already put together, and I'm sure they have been long in advance. Essentially, in the summer, it was a sales pitch to gain public support for these oppressive measures. And what's interesting, so they're going to be signing this. There's no question about it. President Obama is going to be there. But due to the Paris attacks, now they're not allowing any activists to go there. And through the Coalition Against Geoengineering, which I formed with G. Edward Griffin, and we have a number of incredible volunteers that are working with us now, we had initiatives, we had plans, and the Global March Against Chemtrails and Geoengineering to go there. We were printing up banners to go ahead and protest this because one of the main objectives, what people are doing because of the corporate influence, they're demanding that our legislators do more to support this. And that's a very open-ended thing. When you tell legislators, we want you to do more to support this, you're giving all of their power away. And a lot of these people have no idea what measures they're asking for. And they're blindly giving away and demanding that somebody does something. Let me tell you something. The corporate system does not say, oh, they're giving me this power. Let's look at how we could benefit them. We have a very corrupt corporate and political system. And these people are going to look back, and they're going to say, wow, I was part of something really, really bad. And I did something really foolish, especially once we get this legislation, which I'm fully confident now it will be passed once we get it reversed. And the only way that we're going to do that is, again, taking legal and legislative action. So we're going to be prepared through our atmospheric aerosol test. And I think that's the only way to stop this. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's ingenious what you're doing. Actually going up there and grabbing the stream as it's coming right out of the plane, and I'm sure you're going to have all this in video as well. So yeah, it's a great idea. I'm really impressed with your efforts. I don't know how you get the funding for all what you're doing. I'm sure things are tight for you. Is there any place people could go to help you out, Michael, to pay for some of your expenses for all these great things you're doing, trying to analyze chemtrails coming out of planes and making more great movies?
Yes. Well, we have a website for the film, and we're looking for angels and also people to pre-order the film. And that's how I was able to fund What in the World Are They Spraying and Why in the World Are They Spraying, by people pre-ordering and becoming funding angels. So you can go to www.unconventionalgray.com. You can also see the trailer that we have and become an angel, pre-order. If you're interested in specifically funding the atmospheric aerosol campaign, which we want to expand this again into all regions. We need about $9,000 per flight just to go up. We have all of the equipment. Again, we have professional. We have a very professional team, a team that specializes in crime scene cleanup and atmospheric testing. So we have the filters, we have pumps, and again, we have a world-class scientist who's overseeing this project. So I'm very confident that this again will be used in the courtroom. Contact me. You can go to unconventionalgray.com, send an email, say I would like to support the atmospheric aerosol campaign. We'll be releasing more once I put together a full proposal and what we're doing. We're hoping to do this kind of behind the scenes and then releasing it, but we don't have the funds yet to get airplanes up into the air. And again, all the work that I've done, which made we had the opportunity to make 2 films that reached tens of millions of people literally around the world, that these pale in comparison of what we're achieving or what we're moving forward with now. We need this absolute conclusive proof, and we have enough people right now woken up in the movement. So we've hit critical mass. But again, all it would take would be really 10, 20 people to bring this into courts around the world, utilizing the evidence that we come up with, or hopefully people around the world that will come up with. We're willing to teach and share people how to get up into the aerosol clouds and how to sample them correctly, accurately, and we will have a scientist, again, J. Marvin Herndon, who will be overseeing this. But this, again, is absolutely critical. Awareness alone is not going to stop this. It's the action that we take. So please, everybody, continue the education that you're doing. The movement has grown leaps and bounds. I mean, exponentially since I got involved around 2009. So I've seen literally this just expand greatly. However, now it's time not to really focus too much on the expansion. We now have to focus on that action part, and that's what we're doing with an unconventional shade of gray.
Beautiful. Are you actually gonna? So, are you now not allowed to attend COP 21 because of the? It sounds to me like this whole thing in France could have been planned to prevent activists from going there.
Well, if the terrorists really wanted to help the global elite, not to get too much into the official story, well, they certainly did that because, yes, it's preventing activism, it's preventing people from protesting. Yeah. And the propaganda for this is really immense. They put billions and billions of dollars into, convincing the public that this is something that's good, that this is the only thing that's going to save the planet. Meanwhile, they're spraying aluminum, barium, destroying our ozone layer, creating probably most, if not all, of the changes in our climate. We have tree loss at an alarming rate right now. I travel around the country and sometimes in Europe, and all around about 30% of our forests, which I estimate are dying. And again, the aluminum, it creates an abiotic stress. It changes the pH of our soils. So in turn, we have these forests collapsing. There is a company, though, called Arbigen. They're developing genetically modified trees now. So when our trees die off, it'll be a corporation that then becomes the creator of life because they're creating these new seeds. And of course, they gain an immense amount of power. So I think that's the world that we're moving into if we allow this to continue. But I really have a lot of hope and faith in humanity, in those of us who are truly of God who live on this planet and want to stand up for God's kingdom, for nature, for humanity. And a number of us are starting to come up. We're rising up. We're looking at ways to stop this plan. And I feel right now we have the exact plan to do this. So it's a very exciting time. And I know and realize that some of the things that we spoke about can be a bit frightening. They can kind of be a drag.